Mishpacha, it's Courtney, America's Jewish mother. Welcome back to my channel. I am here today with a single book review of Through and Through Toledo Stories by Joseph Giha. This was the second book that I read this year for my 2021 Arab American Literature Project, in which every month I read one book written by an Arab American writer. So in January I read Asaf Rum's A Woman Is No Man, and then in February I read Through and Through Toledo Stories by Joseph Giha. So I liked this collection overall. I gave it 3.5 stars. As with most short story collections, I think not all of them are winners, right? But also, to be fair, with short story collections, I'm not going to feel the same way about all of the stories as a reader that you might feel about them. So there might be some stories in here that I liked that you don't like, or that I didn't like that you like, etc., etc. But I did feel like overall probably half or so of the stories I felt were particularly strong. Just as a little background, Joseph Giha is a Lebanese American writer. He was born in, I want to say the 1930s or 40s maybe. And he taught it many years as a professor of creative writing at Iowa State University. And these stories are set in Toledo, Ohio, which is where he grew up. So they're set in a Lebanese American community, and they're loosely interconnected in the sense that occasionally in a subsequent story you will see a name or a place pop up that featured in a previous story, but none of the actual same characters feature over multiple stories in the sense that you really, get a good sense of who they are and see them develop and encounter various situations over time or anything like that. But you do kind of see how this community is interconnected. So some of the stories in this volume, I think, read more like sketches of what the community is like in general. Those I did not get on as well with. The ones that I liked better were more character focused and character driven stories that tended to be narrated from a single point of view that you followed from the beginning to the end of the story. And one in particular that I liked and that stood out to me was called Stepping Out, and this is about a man who has been recently divorced and is kind of trying to figure out how to move on with his life after that. I also really liked a story in here called Homesickness that has to do with someone who's a recent immigrant to the United States, and how he is received in this community and how people try to get him to assimilate to American culture and things of that sort. This is actually the second edition of this book. I believe it was originally published in 1991 with, I think, maybe 8 stories, and the second edition was published in 2008 or 9, and it had 3 additional stories and also has an afterword by Joseph Giha called Where I'm From Originally, which is where he talks about how over time a number of people he's met will ask him, where are you from? And he'll say, Toledo. And they're like, no, where are you from originally? He's like, no, I was born and grew up in Toledo. And, and then they get kind of mad because, they're like, well, you're not white and you're also not black. So clearly you're not from the United States, which is definitely something I think you see a lot in stories by non-white and also non-African American writers. You see this sort of challenge to their Americanness. So I quite appreciated that afterword and found it useful. So yeah, I would recommend this, especially if you like short stories and especially if you like stories that kind of focus on a community and kind of give you a sense of people's everyday lives and things like that. So yeah, overall I would say this was a successful addition to my Arab American Literature Project. Next month, or rather this month, because I'm filming this in March. So this month I am reading Transfer, which is a collection of poetry by Naomi Shihab Nye. So I'll have a review of that out hopefully by the end of this month, since this one was a little bit later. So if you have read this, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Thank you for watching this. I hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy. I hope you're doing good reading whatever you're reading. And until next time, would it kill you to call your mother?